Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Men Who Cry podcast. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, review, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. If you not do these things, I have to assume that you got caught slipping during sundress season. It is about to be in the 70s. I think I even saw the 80s.
We got to 80
over this week.
now here in DC.
How hot is it going to be for you? Oh, sorry. For everyone who's doing this on an audio program, that voice that you were hearing is the one and only Olisha Azikiwe back again here to talk all the NBA. So, yes, how hot is it going to be in DC?
Well, we got to 80 today. It's going to be up to 90 sometime, I think Wednesday or Thursday. So,
yeesh.
Yeah, sundress season's already here.
Is it like, is it the cherry blossoms that's like out for you guys?
Yeah, that was like, peak was like last week. So, got all the tourists came in, snapping pictures and everything.
Question, do those things like fall off if it gets too hot, or is okay, so it's really like you get one time and one time only.
They fall off and then like a leaf comes to replace them. So I don't know like the whole science, but it's like it blooms and then it falls and then leaves come. So like by the summertime,
we got cherry blossoms here in New York too.
True, yeah.
But I guess it's not as bountiful. I feel like it's DC. Yeah. It's like you see them.
No, if you go downtown, like by this time, it's just the whole sidewalks are just covering cherry blossom petals.
That DC, I have said, is maybe the one and only U.S. city I would consider moving to. It's really the only one because
I have a friend that said the same thing.
I'm not that far from New York, so I can come back home if I really need to. I'm still on the East Coast.
Right.
Knicks come down there 2 times a year. The Giants go and play there once a year, So at least I'll get to see some of my favorite teams.
Right.
It is, while the political spectrum, I feel like swings left and right depending on who's the president. I feel like I don't have to deal with so much of the folks I don't like to deal with, potentially.
Sure. But I would say DC is mostly blue. It's when you go into like Virginia and like some parts of Maryland. That's when you get to those parts.
The thing that, and I mean, I feel like it makes sense. We're really getting down a rabbit hole, but it's fine.
Yeah, right.
It like makes sense because like if your job is based in the White House or in government, right? And if your party doesn't win, where is your work? Where's your income? So you gotta move. So I can see how it's like, who's in office kind of determines what's the vibe and the thing. I was talking to one of my buddies at work, and he was saying that like the who's in office parts of the city become more poppin'. So he's like, if there's like someone who's let's say a liberal candidate is in the office, like there's one part of the city that's really popping. But if it's like a Republican candidate, another completely different part of the city is popping. And it's so interesting how like that, like it just swings like that so much.
Right. As a DC native, I will say Waterfront, which if you know, is definitely popping now. And,
okay.
Yeah.
I feel like okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Heard you. Okay, so cowboy boots and hats. That's the requirement. That's acquired fits to get into the Waterfront. Speaking of which, unfortunately, we will not be talking about the Wizards because they did not qualify for the playoffs. But we will be talking about NBA playoffs with you guys. The playoffs are here. I have a kind of a take overall of these playoffs, but I want to hear what you think just about the playoffs in general. How are you feeling about this? And how are you feeling about just the NBA season we just completed, or at least the regular season? So,
oh man, I had this idea like around the All-Star break, because like that's back when everyone was complaining about tanking and everything. And I was like, this whole discussion of tanking is like distracting us on what potentially could be a really fun playoffs. And we're at the moment now, and like I feel like I'm right on that. I feel like this playoff picture, the bracket is so competitive and balanced, and there's a lot of parity. Even like a lot of people like even me have the notion like OKC could possibly go back to back. But when you really look at the West and the contenders, it's like you can really say almost 1 through 4 have a legit chance of like have a fighting chance of making it to the finals. And then if you go East, you can almost say the same thing. Like depending on how you feel about what's the 4 seed right now? I should know this.
Cavs.
Cavs. Yeah. Well, yeah. Depending on how you feel about James Harden, Yeah. So
But we'll get into Mr. Harden a little bit later.
exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, like it's wide open, and like being wide open, being like competitively balanced, just like yields such a fun and unpredictable playoffs, which I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, I think my counter to that is a little bit is I think that this first round, I think
Mm,
in the Western Conference, two of the series I think are going to be really competitive.
okay.
I think, and we'll get into the play-in teams in a bit, but just talk about the teams that we already know that we're locked in, right? I think Lakers Rockets is going to be a fascinating series. I was looking at it, and I think that the way that this broke was best case for us, because if it was flipped, and let's say the Lakers were the 3 seed and the Nuggets were
Nugget.
the 4 seed, I think the West was going to be done. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would have picked Minnesota to beat the Lakers in like 4 or 5 games like last year, and I would have picked Denver to beat the Rockets in 4 or 5 games. But the fact that it's flipped, and the fact that once again somehow the Nuggets and Timberwolves find a way to play each other again,
Yeah.
and the two old dudes are going to play each other in LeBron and Kevin Durant. I
Yep.
think it's going to be very spicy no matter who comes out to play it in the Western Conference. And I think, but the thing is, in the Eastern Conference, I think there's only going to really be one competitive series, and that's Knicks Hawks.
I was about to say,
And
yeah.
and to me, because here's the thing, we could lightly touch on James Harden right now, or just the Cavs in general. If the Cavs do not beat the Raptors, who I don't know if you saw this stat, they're 0-21 against the top 10 teams of both conferences. 0-21. They didn't beat the Knicks. They didn't beat the Celtics. They didn't beat the Lakers. They didn't beat OKC. They beat OKC. So maybe it's 1-21. But they didn't beat anyone good in the Eastern Conference, at least. If this is not a year where Cleveland just goes ahead and beats these brothers, there are going to be some interesting conversations that are going to lead, and I think get trickled down to Donovan Mitchell, because I think as much as people like Donovan Mitchell, you can't be in the league for damn near 10 years and not get to the conference finals and not get no smoke sent your way.
Yeah, that's fair.
But before we get deep into those series, I do want to talk about these playing games. And I think the thing I want to start off with is, do you think we need this anymore? The playing itself, the playing right now, the start of 2026, we've only had 3 teams able to win a first round series that were able to get out of the play-in. Now, to be fair, these have all happened pretty recently. Obviously, everyone knows about the Heat. 2023 got to the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers, and I completely forgot the Lakers did this, because the Lakers, your team, got out of the play-in and got all the way to the Western Conference Finals. They beat the Grizzlies, and then they end up beating the Warriors, right? And then they got to the conference finals and they lost to Denver that same season, right?
Right.
And then I forgot this happened. Last year, the Golden State was in the play-in, got out, and then they beat the Rockets, because the Rockets were the 2 seed last year. They beat them in 7 games. So how do you feel about us still having these play-in games currently?
Well, I feel like you kind of just made the case for it to still be existing, right? Being that within the past 5 years, we've had teams make it to at least one playoff round win, conference finals, even the finals. So, like, if the whole idea is to not only keep the regular season competitive and keep having teams having something to play for, but also to create that openness and like the idea that still anyone can get hot and make a run, like kind of like that March Madness feel. Kind of just made the case that it's been working. So I would say, like, obviously your 9-10 matchups can, especially on the Eastern Conference sides, can be filler episodes, if you will. But on the West, it's shown to, at least allow veteran teams who have been limping into the playoff, like, have their opportunity for that one last stand. And it's kind of looking like that with the 9-10 with the Western Conference and Clippers and Warriors. You got Kawhi going against Stephen Curry. Just 2 vets, 2 still capable, while old, but capable star players that can carry a team if the rest of their teammates also show up. I think I have the Clippers winning that. But, like, to your point, or to the question of whether we still need a play-in, I would say yes, because I am an advocate of always trying to improve. I think that's what Silver has done with this edition of the play-in. And if you look at it just on face value, it's proven to be valuable.
Yeah, I think ironically, this is the one year where the Eastern Conference play-in to me seems way more compelling than the Western Conference play-in. I think that the Western Conference play-in has in large part been the name brand, the sexier of it. But I don't think the teams have been as good. Now, obviously, we just named 2 teams from the Western Conference that were able to get to the NBA Finals. We also had the Grizzlies in the play-in last year, and they got dog walked last year.
I remember that.
We also had the Miami Heat in the play-in last year, and they got dog walked in the first round. And I think maybe it's just the fact that we have to accept that that's just going to be a possibility, right? And I think in the West, I think the 7-8 matchup is going to be, if I'm Portland or Phoenix, I am doing anything I can to win that game. Now, I still think both teams are going to lose to the Spurs. Right. However, you can at least argue the Spurs are a young team. This is Wemby's first time in the playoffs. We can throw something at this dude that he's never seen, young team. Maybe they'll get jitters. We can get a game. And if we get one game in San Antonio, we have a chance to at least extend this series. Mm-hmm. Whoever loses that game is now going to try and be, bucks on the lamb to OKC, who's going to slaughter them. Now, It's funny you said about Kawhi, because I do agree. I think this Warriors team is done. And this is kind of the thing. The other thing I said about the play-in and the reverse of that is because of the tanking, and because there were so many teams, I think it came out today that this is the most teams that had 50 lost seasons in an NBA season ever.
Yeah, and also the most with teams with less than 33% winning percentage.
Yeah, it was a true haves and have-nots. But if you look at a team like the Warriors didn't play Steph Curry for like the second half of the year because no one was catching them. The closest team to them, I believe, was Memphis, and Memphis was clearly tanking once they traded Triple J. So there was no incentive for them to win games. Like once the eighth seed became almost impossible to get, and they realized that they are going to be the 9-10, it's like, is it really that much of a difference? Especially the fact that you're going to LA, where I think that stadium's going to be what, 60-40 Clippers fans at best. 55-45, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm being generous to the Clippers. Like, you're going to have essentially a split crowd in a game, and you have Steph Curry and thinking, all right, it's one game. I can get Steph Curry to give us this one game and then see what happens in, whoever loses that 7-8 matchups. I think that it has been I think the jury's still out, even though we've had the play-in for a while now. On whether or not like now? This. Yeah, I believe so. I believe the first year was the COVID year. The 2021 season was the first year of the play-in. Your guy Westbrook, I remember him, but that was even worse because the games were blowouts. These times, because I vividly remember that was when Jason Tatum had 50 points, and that's when they lost to that's when they lost to the Nets in the first round because they were the 7th seed. And then they the Wizards turned around and beat the Pacers by like a bunch of points, and Westbrook had a triple-double. Crazy, I did memory unlocked. But speaking of like the play-in, like which matchup that we have right now do you think is going to be the best of the rounds? Not obviously the 8-9 will be different, but I'll just go over the teams right now. So currently we have the 7-8 matchup in the Western Conference. It's going to be the Clippers not the Clippers. It's going to be the Phoenix Suns versus the Portland Trailblazers, with the Clippers taking on the Golden State Warriors in the 9-10. And the Eastern Conference, we are going to have the 76ers versus the most pathetic playoff team I have seen in a while, the Orlando Magic, who we talked about this. Hate their coach. They hate their coach. Are going to take on the Sixers, and the Magic are going to face each other. While in the 9-10 game, we will be seeing the new kids on the block in the Charlotte Hornets take on the Miami Heat in the 9-10 matchup. So which one of those are you the most excited to see so far?
Okay, so I'm excited to see on the East, since I talked a lot about the West. definitely the Hornets. I don't know. Just the Hornets just exciting to watch. Win, lose, they're going to make it a great watch. Now, especially in the last 20 games or so, they've been on a heater. Working at, I mean, it was almost set in stone that they was going to finish at 10, but they were able to jump the Heat to get the 9 seed. So now they at least have home court in that play-in game. I just think, although the Heat can still bring it on defense, I think the offense that we've been seeing from the Hornets in the last quarter of the season is just going to be way too much for the Heat. I'm excited for LaMelo to play his way, hopefully, into the playoffs. I'm excited to see what Concanip can do. Probably even though the regular season is over, but like to cement that probable Rookie of the Year award for him, showing that his numbers not only look good, but they contribute to a team that's on the rise. Brandon Miller, another player that would love to see get play in some meaningful games, and hopefully when they get to that playoff first round, which I'm hoping they do, definitely see a lot of things working in favor for the Hornets, and seeing them benefiting the most from making it from the first round, which is why I think they're going to be able to win those 2 games in the play-in. You know, put up a good fight against the Pistons, hopefully. But going to the West, like you said, name value alone, Clippers Warriors, because like this might be the last stand for that iteration or whatever is left of the Warriors at this point. Going against the Clippers and Kawhi, who, as we all know, is capable of just carrying a team by himself. So looking forward to seeing that. But I think the most game between those two in the West, playing games will probably be Suns and Trailblazers, because they're kind of more balanced. Teams that, play hard. Both teams play hard. Blazers, they have Denny and Drew as their main playmakers. Probably definitely going to need more to even put up any decent of a fight against OKC, which likely not to happen. But in this particular series with the Suns, or this playing game with the Suns, honestly, I think Devin Booker, because he's going to be the best player in that play-in round, is going to be the one to carry his team in terms of to victory. So I see the Suns being the Blazers in a close game, and I see the Clippers being the Warriors in probably by 10 or double digits. I don't believe in the Warriors, man, unless Steph goes for like 50, and then it's like, oh, we got another historic Steph game. And
I don't believe them
probably
geriatrics, bro.
Yeah, he might though, because this might be his last game I might be overhyping it, but this could be his last game, at least playing for Steve Kerr. So he might want to go all out. But yeah, I see the Clippers winning that one. I see the Suns being the Blazers, and then probably the Blazers are definitely going to take care of the Warriors and put them. Oh no, not the Warriors. Who would they?
The Clippers.
The Clippers. Yeah, they would. Yeah. No, I think Kawhi will do it. I think Kawhi can get those back-to-back wins.
Kawhi will get those 2 games.
Yeah, and Darius Garland, if he shows up, that would be another great punch to have. And then they still have some good players on that team that contribute defense and offensively. So yeah, that's my predictions. But I'm excited to see what the Hornets do. I don't know. I just like the way they play. I mean, 76ers, I feel like I neglected them, but they definitely will take care of the Magic, because
the Magic don't want to play basketball no more.
Exactly. They look like a team that's waiting for the offseason, waiting to go to Cancun. So Sixers definitely, because they have young players who still want to, make a mark, definitely can get them their way into the playoffs. And especially with Paul George, looking how he looked in the past couple of games while he came back after the suspension. But like you said, those high seeds versus low seeds matchups, don't really see an upset happening, although I can see if the Hornets get to that first round against the Pistons, they have that history, got a little scuffle there. I can see them putting up a fight, maybe going 6 games, but yeah.
The thing, so I'll take a step back first. So I think for the play-in, and we can start I'll start in the West. I think that the Blazers versus the Suns is interesting in the sense of that I feel like this is one of those matchups where it's like, outside of Devin Booker, can anyone name 5 players on each of these teams? It's like I feel like no one really watched or talked about these teams a lot during the season because I feel like the Suns are very like meh. Like they had a good season. I mean, they were much better than I think a lot of people thought they were going to be. Like I didn't think they were going to be in the play-in at all, right? I thought they would be like one of the worst teams. Not maybe one of the worst teams, but I didn't think they were going to be
a lottery.
Exactly, definitely a lottery team. And they were able to have a winning record, and you know they didn't win that. They didn't win that lesser games than the Rockets did when they just gave away Durant, right? And also they had Devin Booker missed a ton of time, and Dylan Brooks missed a ton of time too.
Yeah,
still be able to find their way into the play-in. And I think for Portland, the main thing is the fact that Denny Avdia, for some reason, now has the LeBron James level of whistle. I don't know if you saw, Complex had a list of all the guys who had the most fouls drawn in the NBA. Denny Avdia was 4th in the league at fouls drawn in the NBA. I believe number 1 was Luka. Number 2 was Jaylen Brown, as much as he loves to complain that he gets fouled all the time. And so this to me just kind of seems like, all right, if the Suns get by, I think there's at least enough veteran guys on that team to, again, give the Spurs some bit of a fight. And I think we can just more talk about the storylines that kind of comes into play if they get through. But I just think the same thing with you. Like, I think that the Suns are going to get through, and I think the Clippers are going to end up taking out the Portland just because I believe a lot of playoff experience. None of these guys on Portland, except for Drew Holiday per se, has actually played. Well, Drew Holiday and Robert Williams, sorry, has actually played in playoff games. There's basically a bunch of young guys on this team. I guess, did Jeremy Grant ever play in the playoffs? I don't know.
With the Nuggets, I want to say.
Maybe, yeah. He probably did on the Nuggets. Wow, that was a throwback.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he did any when he left to go to Detroit. I don't think he got into the playoffs with them, and then he ended up getting sent to the Blazers. But yeah, I just believe in playoff experience too much, and I don't think that's going to happen with them. And same thing with you. I think the Steph Curry thing is fascinating and sad at the same time because, like you said, what's going to happen? Like this might honestly be his last relevant playoff moment. So I can't fully count him out. But if he really has this runner's knee thing, which it seems like he has, like his whole game is running.
Yeah, right.
And so if he can't run, I don't see how the Warriors, kind of do this. And like, obviously, you're not going to ignore the guy, but at the same time, like, what makes him special is the fact that he can just go end to end and, bend the defense in a way that causes so many problems. So,
right,
I think that
this offense almost
exactly. What I'm saying? Like, I think the best thing that they describe them, Mike Greenberg said this years ago. I think this might have been either Steph Curry's MVP year or maybe the year before that, where it's like how Shaq was like essentially someone who collapsed the defense so much that he could just do kickouts and guys would get open shots or things like that. Steph Curry does essentially the inverse, where he expands it so much that it breaks. And the moment someone loses him on a dribble drive, it's over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he's so good in the lane and, he's a good enough passer where he was able to, be one of the 12 greatest players of all time. But I do think that this is looking like it's going to be over. And I don't think he's going to leave, but I definitely think the Warriors are going to now be kind of stuck in the wilderness for a while because
they didn't
he's the best thing on their team. They don't want to trade him. Again, we've already had I feel like we had this conversation about like that seems like LeBron's team if that's where he wants to go. But I think this is kind of kaputs for them. Sliding over to the Eastern Conference, at least, it's like I do kind of think that we are hyping up the Hornets just a touch too much. I do like them. I like the way that they play. I think they're a real team. I do think that they are going to give Detroit problems because I do think there's going to be, especially again, people get hyped, right? And the last game I watched them play, at least when I was watching Knicks game play them in Charlotte, that used to be Knicks Southeast, right? Like that whole corridor was just like Knicks fans the whole time. That place was rocking for the Hornets. Right. And they're not, the Detroit fans don't, or at least they won't be as many Detroit fans, I believe, at least in going to Charlotte.
Yeah, that's a long trip.
Yeah, so I can see Charlotte eking out one game. I just think Detroit's physicality is going to be too much, and they just don't have the size. Like, if they had actual, real, like big body centers, I
Mm-hmm.
could see this going 6 or 7 games because they shoot a bunch of threes. They have the 2 leading 3-point shooters in the league, in Khan and LaMelo. LaMelo is such a like a wild card. You don't know what he's going to do out there. Brandon Mills been playing awesome, and I think Charles Lee's shown, like, listen, he's winning in Charlotte. I got to think you're one of the best coaches in the league if you're winning in
Yeah,
Charlotte.
right.
Michael Jordan is somewhere kicking and screaming right now. But I think that if they do get past Miami, which I don't think is going to be a lock for them, but
True.
if they do get past Miami, whoever wins that 9-10, slide them into 8. Because, again, like we said, the Magic want to go home. They don't want to play no more. The fact that they lost to a bunch of backups
The Celtics
on the road, and mind you, tied the game, and then I don't know what Jamal Mosley was doing. He benched Desmond Bane, then brought him back in. You only played him. They traded 4 first-round picks for this guy. Bro, if they had played Mikal Bridges in a game that they needed to win, but 15 minutes, first thing on first take is Mikal Bridges, like, what are they doing? But again, it's the Magic, so it doesn't get the same amount of clicks. But the same point is, like, they're done. This is done. They just happen to, win enough games, so they have to keep playing. but this right here, this is finito. But I'm interested. So let's say we were going to slot in the Suns and the Clippers for the 7th, 8th. And let's say we were going to slot in Sixers, Hornets for 7, 8 in the Eastern Conference, right? So that will give us OKC versus Clippers. That will give us Spurs versus Spurs versus the Suns. We would have the Nuggets versus Timberwolves, like we mentioned before, and Lakers versus the Rockets in the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, we will have Detroit versus Houston. We will have Celtics, Sixers, Knicks, Hawks, and we will have Cleveland, Toronto. I want to start in the Eastern Conference. We already kind of talked about Detroit, Charlotte, about their little beef before. What's the main thing you're taking away potentially from Sixers, Celtics? Embiid's not going to play, or doesn't seem like he's going to play. They still have Maxey. They still have VJ Excom. We already talked about Paul George looking better since his suspension.
Right.
How do you feel this matchup, or the main like storyline you're going to take away from these two teams playing each other?
Storyline one would definitely be, for at least from the Sixers, is like how much of a franchise player is Tyrese Maxey, and can he? I don't know. We're saying we're not expecting them to win the series, but can he get them a couple of games through his great play and leadership? And I mean, you would like to rely on Paul George for that, but like, he's kind of over the hill at this point. If you get 20 to 25 from Paul George, that is, gravy. But I'm looking and expecting Tyrese Hill as one of my favorite players to at least step up and make the series competitive. Because like, if you still look at the roster, even without Embiid, they should be able to make this competitive. If players play up to their abilities. But like we said, Celtics were already a great team before Tatum came back, became an even better team with Tatum. Tatum already looks like he's like at least almost 90% of what he can be or what he was. You already got Jaylen Brown, who's been playing all NBA all season. As long as they can get, Derek White to shoot consistently decent, and then, they have a great bench. They're like top 3 in defense in the league. So, all those factors will definitely just have them, or at least have our expectation for them winning handedly. But I'm looking at someone like I said, Tyrese, VJ Edgecombe. He had a lot of hype in the beginning of the season. Like, obviously he hit that rookie wall, but can he show up in some of these games and like show that he is part of the future? That 1-2 punch that the Sixers fans are hoping for between him and Tyrese Maxey. So like I said, overall, not expecting them to, win the series, but can we find some small victories that we can build upon going forward if I'm a Sixers fan?
Yeah, just to piggyback what you're saying, because I wanted to look this up because I wasn't sure. The Celtics, man, Joe Mazzulla is going to run away with Coach of the Year. They had the second best offensive rating and the second best defensive rating in the NBA this year, with the second best net rating in the NBA this season. So, to your point, yes, this team is looking like they are ready to get locked and loaded. I think the thing I want to look at is how I think the Sixers are really kind of in a quagmire. They have Maxey, who I do believe is a franchise guy. I've seen this guy in the playoffs, and he is a bear to guard, especially the fact that he now has that step back three. It is a real tough guy to kind of keep in front of you because he's so fast getting downhill, and he can also snatch back and hit that three in your eye.
James Harden.
Exactly, right? James Harden. Changed the game in a lot of different ways. You know,
he
Hall of Famer on and off the court.
Yeah.
On and off the court. And so, like, for them, they have these two young guys. They have VJ Etchcomb. They have, I already mentioned Maxey. But they also have these two albatross contracts in which they can't move. They can't move them, right? They have Embiid, who I believe is, I remember I looked this up. I think he's just starting his extension. And Paul George has 2 more years left on this deal after this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe because Paul George is 88 baby? No, he's a 90 baby. So he'll be 37 and 38 in the next 2 seasons. And so they're kind of stuck. and it's like fans of the Sixers okay with this team being relatively mid because it is not mid, I would say, because of like they have whack players, right? Like we just mentioned, I love VJ. I must call him TJ Maxx. Tyrese Maxey is one of my favorite players in the league. I love watching him play. Quentin Grimes used to be on the Knicks. I enjoy watching him play.
Oh yeah.
They have like a solid team, but in a cap sport where you don't even have control of your draft pick this year. It's going to go to OKC again.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers just keep stealing these picks. It's going to go to OKC this year. Unless you are going to essentially just salary dump these guys somewhere to some team, I don't know what the Sixers' goal is going to be. And I think, I'll be interested to see if Nick Nurse is still around. Unfortunately, it happens to all coaches. I don't think this would be Nick Nurse's fault.
I was about to say, can you blame the season on him?
No, I don't think so. Here's the thing. I think I can have two thoughts. One is, I don't think Nick Nurse is that great of a coach. However, if your best / second best player is always hurt come April, how far can what level of expectation can I give you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is multiple seasons, right? Since he's been there, right? The first year he was there, they were the 7th seed. Joel Embiid missed a bunch of times because that was when Kuminga fell on his legs.
Yeah.
They came back, lost to the Knicks in the 6 games. The second season, everyone was hurt. They had to essentially tank because of their draft pick. They missed the playoffs completely. This season, their best player gets hurt as well in Maxey. He messes up his thumb. Their third best player gets suspended for 25 games, and their second best player is basically a 20-ish minute per game player, and then gets hurt again. Not hurt, but he has appendicitis. I don't know what he's supposed to do. However, I know fandom, and fandom isn't rational, and they want to blame someone. And Daryl Morey's not firing himself, so it's always the guy coaching the team that they always tend to fire. So I don't think he should get fired personally, but I'm just saying it would not surprise me if they lose in 5 games, which I think they will lose in 5 games if he gets the boot out.
Yeah, I think that's the key. If they somehow manage to make it competitive, then he's safe. But if they get shellacked, he's out of there. Especially how Philly fandom works, and like they were already like kind of out on him throughout this year. So giving him another reason is definitely doesn't build his case. But yeah, again, kind of goes back on Tyrese Maxey. Can he save his coach? Which I feel like it's almost too much to be putting on Tyrese Maxey. Especially because like the 2 highest paid players on the team are, in their 30s and half their bodies are broken down. But yeah, the point you were making about them being a quagmire, it always comes down to like these teams, and like you don't want to be the last team to give that aging superstar a big contract, and they essentially have two of those. They're in that scenario of two different players. So yeah, it's going to take some great luck, some fortuitous drafting to get them into a place that they can be competitive before Tyrese Maxey's contract runs out, because essentially they're on his timeline now. They need to be building a team around him, obviously, but they need to be building a case for him to continue to believe in the franchise and to hopefully sign another contract with them, because yeah, it's not looking too great.
Yeah, it's Tyrese Maxey. I'm pretty sure Tyrese Maxey is going to make All NBA. Should make either second or third team. Yeah, I think this is kind of one of the. I think the Sixers are absolutely one of the pitfall teams of the second apron, even though they aren't in the second apron. Where I feel like 5 years ago, they would have been dumped Paul George to the Nets, right? Like the Pacers, right? Like someone would have taken on his contract. He would have gave up like a first round pick, and we would have been done with this, right? But because of the aprons and because like every dollar matters so much, I don't think you can dump players anymore like that. Like I think it's too much money, and I think teams don't want to be hamstrung for 2-3 years of dead money. Like you saw how desperate the Bucks got. They had when they waved and stretched Dame and thought, Miles Turner, here we go. And they had one of the worst seasons of their franchise since Giannis has been on the team. All right. Anyway, we're going to now pivot to what we think will probably be the most competitive series, at least in the Eastern Conference. Knicks, Hawks.
Yep.
These teams played each other 3 times this year. Knicks won 2-1, with a caveat that Trae Young did play in that very first game that the Knicks won.
So 1-1. Because
so really 1-1.
The Hawks are totally different team.
I would say this. In the second game, neither Karl-Anthony Towns or Mitchell Robinson played in the second game.
Fair.
But at the same time, the Hawks, I would say like the last game they played was probably the most true version of what these two teams are going to be like. Obviously, I say this all the time, Knicks fan here, but I try to be as objective as I can with these teams. I will say this going into this series. I think there's 2 things to look at, right? I think the main storyline for this series is going to be, can any one of the Hawks have his Trae Young moment? What I mean by that is Trae Young, the reason why I've always, it's not the fact that Trae Young beat the Knicks. It's really not, right? I've seen the team lose for most of my life, right? Tyrese Halliburton trolls the team. I don't really get too mad. He beat the team twice.
Yeah.
This is what he does. The fact that Trae Young's whole career essentially is based upon beating the Knicks is the thing that gets me annoyed. Because, again, you look up his stats. Outside of that playoff series, he has beaten the New York Knicks 3 times in his career. If you include that playoff series, Trae Young has beaten the Knicks 7 times in his career. Okay, he has a significantly losing record against the Knicks. But unfortunately, the only thing we talk about is a series where Julius Randle was shooting threes in empty gyms. Okay, and that for some reason is like held up as the hallmark of this beacon of a team. And we don't even talk about the fact that this man made the Eastern Conference Finals. And it feels like that Philly series just gets swept under the rug and everyone just blames Ben Simmons and then just, people just move on from it. But I'm curious to see if any one of the Hawks players can have his moment like that as a main storyline. But I think the series for me comes down to 2 things. Two kind of simple things. Number 1, rebounding. The Knicks and the Hawks are 2 of the best rebounders in the league. The last game they played, the Knicks lost a rebounding battle. I believe they lost it by 12 or something like that, or 11, right? They end up winning the game, but the Hawks are kind of like OKC and Toronto, where their half-court offense isn't that good.
Right.
But the way they beat you is they get more possessions than you, right? They turn you over, get the exactly, right? And they get out running, transition baskets. And the number 2 thing that I think is the most important thing in this series is Dyson Daniels minutes. If Dyson Daniels Dyson Daniels is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. I would put him at a tier down from the Thompson twins as guys who are able to guard a player like Jalen Brunson.
I agree with that, yeah.
But we have seen these playoffs, they expose everything. And the one thing that brother cannot do is shoot. I'm pretty sure he is the worst three-point shooter in the league.
Yeah, he had like a historically bad shooting year this year.
Yes. And the thing is that you can't have someone on the court who can't shoot.
Especially in the playoffs.
So for me, the reason why I say his minutes per game is the most important is because if he's averaging like 30 plus minutes per game, he's doing something to stay on the court. Something, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be the threes. It can be he's getting offensive rebounds. He's whatever, right? He's doing something to stay on the court. Kind of like Asar Thompson last season when they played Brunson. But if they're out there and they realize like, yo, this dude is junking up the offense, we can't play this guy anymore, and he's getting like DMPs in the fourth quarter, I think the Knicks are going to win this easily. If he's playing 30 minutes a game, I think the Hawks have a chance to win the series.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It reminds me a lot of Tony Allen, how teams used to treat him in the playoffs. I will say, from watching the Hawks recently, I have noticed they like to use him in that roller in the pick and roll to kind of, hide him so you don't have to like rely on him being a corner specialist. But if you do that, then what is Okongwu doing? Because like he's a decent shooter for a big, but like you're not going to rely on him to consistently make open shots. So if you're not using him as that lob threat in that pick and roll or roller in the pick and roll and using Dyson Daniels instead in order to hide him on offense, that's going to hinder his ability to make an impact on offense. And so you're kind of like almost, losing two players by doing that. But if it works, which it has been shown to work, depending on the lineups and the players they put on the floor. Like you said, them comparing them to OKC, I like to compare that based on their ability, their versatility, especially on perimeter defense. A lot of versatile forwards and guards, a lot of big guards. Hence why they're so good on the boards, as well as throwing in Okongwu on the boards as well. So they're definitely capable. But like you said, when you get into the playoffs, like teams exploit weaknesses, and that's a pretty big weakness to have just in the NBA in general, to not be a consistently good shooter, which no one can say for Dyson Daniels. And honestly, in terms of shooting in general, they're not like above average when it comes to that. And a lot of their perimeter offense is just CJ and driving kicks. And I forget there's one more shooter on that team,
Nickeil
right?
Alexander Walker.
Okay, yeah. Who's average 20, so like he can provide a great punch there. But yeah, I think their lack of offense is going to hurt them, because like that tends to always hurt teams in the playoffs. Because like for some reason, it's probably due to like the extra time and strategizing. Like everyone's defense takes some step up. Offensive ability is usually the key separator, and so if you have glaring weakness on offense, that's usually a sign that you're not going to be the team to win the series. So I will agree with you in saying that the Knicks should pull it out, but definitely will be the most exciting series in the Eastern Conference.
Dyson Daniels is shooting 57% from two this season. He is shooting 17.6% from three this season.
Right. They're using him as a power forward, basically.
Exactly. Power forward, using him as a center.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's like, and that's the thing too. It's like when you give a team like New York that has two defenders who aren't the best at guarding people, you give them a place to hide. Now, the only thing I would disagree with though is that the Hawks' 3-point percentage is actually pretty decent, by and large part because of everyone else around those guys, right? Like Dyson Daniels is crashing the glass. They're getting more shots than their opponents. And so when you get a CJ who's been in the playoffs before, Nickeil Alexander Walker who's been in the playoffs before, this is Jalen Johnson's first time in the playoffs, but and we'll see how he really rises to the occasion or he doesn't. But the thing about the Hawks that's also a little concerning is the fact is there isn't like one guy, you know? There isn't like, you know, OKC has Shea. The Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, right? The Detroit Pistons have Cade, right? The Charlotte Hornets have LaMelo Ball, right? There is a clearly a guy who is the focal point of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
With the Hawks, it's like it might be CJ's night. It might be Nickeil Alexander-Walker night. Jalen Johnson might go for a triple-double, right? Like it's so almost too egalitarian for you to isolate on one guy. And so I'm curious to see there's some benefits to that in the sense that like you have to guard all five guys. Even a Dyson Daniels who can do things without the ball in his hands and he can still score in other ways. But there's also where if the game is close, you need a guy that's going to go get a bucket. You aren't necessarily sure who that guy is going to be every single night, right? And that's where the problems can be, especially come postseason time. But yes, I agree. I have the Knicks in 6 games. I wanted to go 5, but I think this Hawks team is that good, and I can see the Knicks just fumbling and losing one game. I do think this is going to be a lot like the Pistons series last season.
How do you think Carl is going to do in this series?
So I'll say this. This series is going to be a long series or a short series, depending on how Karl-Anthony Towns wants to play. If Karl-Anthony Towns wants to be Karl-Anthony Towns, Knicks will win this game. Knicks will win this series in 5 games, maybe
exactly.
6.
Yeah, because
if Karl Towns wants to not be that, then they won't. You know, and so they have no one on the Hawks have no one to guard him. They don't have any bigs. Jock Landale is not killing him. Oh, Neko Okongwu, I think is 6'8".
Yeah,
you know, like they don't have the size. And he killed them in the 2 games that he played them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, I do not think this is going to be a Jalen Brunson series. I think this is going to be a series where, like I said, how does Carl want to play? If he wants to play like how I think he's capable of playing, I think this will be quick. If he's a little more up and down, then I think that this can be a longer series.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, he's definitely the key factor for this series. I'm also curious, in terms of like relationships with the fans, who had a more toxic relationship between Karl-Anthony Towns and the Knicks fans and Julius Randle and the Knicks fans?
You know what? That's a great question. That is actually an outstanding question.
Yeah.
Who had more of a toxic relationship?
Because you brought up JR and it reminded me of how bad it got. I mean, it eventually got better, but
I think they were both toxic, but I think for different reasons. I think with Julius, it was, and people want to have such revisionist histories now of like, anytime Carl has a bad game, it's like, why did we trade Julius? Like you were on crack. You were not you weren't saying none of this when Julius was having bad games. But I think it got just so contentious because Julius had just a really bad season one year. Like he didn't make the All-Star team. The team was bad. I don't think that's all on him. Kemba's knees went out. Evan Fournier wasn't playing well, and they kind of regressed back to the mean. His shooting regressed heavily back. And I think, frankly, the expectations for Julius, I think, were just a little bit different because he essentially was looked at as the consolation prize to what Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, what the Nets got.
Remember that, yeah.
When he had that, when his first season, he didn't have a good season. His second season was obviously outstanding, right? He got all NBA. I think he went second team that season. And then his third season, he went back down. He wasn't good. And then his next 2 seasons, he made the All-Star team in back-to-back years, including an All-NBA team in there. I think the thing with Carl is that his game is one that is always going to leave some fans frustrated because he doesn't do typical big man stuff. He's on the post all the time. I think some fans hate the fact that the Knicks traded away Dante DiVincenzo, hashtag fan favorite. It's very annoying because Dante DiVincenzo is too good to be considered a hashtag fan favorite. but
Yeah.
unfortunately, he has the look of a fan favorite, and so people just constantly gravitate towards Dante. And yeah, like I think him hitting that shot against the Sixers and his other stuff is like, I think there's just this love affair of him with him.
Yeah, an
And
Italian
I think a
playing for the
lot,
Knicks.
huh?
An Italian playing for the Knicks. It makes sense.
Exactly. Listen, bro, Staten Island's very own. You know what I'm saying? Like he was out here carrying the flag. You do not understand how many arguments I've got into about fans with Tyler Kolek. The true definition of hashtag fan favorite. And so he basically, I think, came with this level of expectation. The team traded away, again, more Dante than Julius. So I think that's where some fans got furious. But I think the expectation just rise so much. So I will end it by saying this. I will say that Julius Randle has a very complicated legacy with the Knicks. But again, I have seen Knicks fans come back to cheers where I was like, no one liked you on the team. Like, they cheer for Joakim Noah. I was there. That was not a good time. And so they cheer for Stephon Marbury.
Right.
That was not a good time. That was not a good time. So I think over time it will fade and people will end up liking Randall. I think Carl's got a lot of pressure on him. And that Giannis stuff's still out there, man. And I absolutely believe that his first half was so impacted by those rumors that you saw he was the better of the two players the second half of the season. Not second half, but like after the All-Star break, once the trade deadline passed by. You cannot convince me that was not correlated to him not knowing he wasn't getting traded.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Guys have mental things. So yes, I think that they will I think he has some interesting time with him. We can hit Cavs Toronto now really quickly. I think my main storyline for this series is kind of what we said before. Has the grace period end for Donovan Mitchell? Again, he has never missed the playoffs. Statistically, he is one of the best players of his generation. This guy is clearly going to be a Hall of Famer. He's made multiple All-NBA teams. And yet, I don't know if they are going to get out of round 2. They better get out of round 1.
Yeah.
But they better get out of round 1. But it's ultimately a team that he oddly finds himself on these teams where there's another player that people either vehemently dislike or don't trust.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert for all those years.
Yeah.
Now it's pick your Cav, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, James Harden, right? Like, he is filled with these dudes who I'm like, I would not want you on my team. So again, ultimately, because we know how this works, it's going to get pointed back to him. So I am just, and again, they already traded away Darius Garland.
Yeah.
If these brothers lose in round 1, that is going to be bad. Real bad. So what say you? How's the storylines looking for Cavs Raptors this year?
Yeah. Full disclosure, Donovan Mitchell is one of my favorite players, so I will be rooting for the Cavs. But like you said, there is a lot of like budding pressure that's being put on his shoulders, as well as just the entire Cavs team in general. This is like a series, like if there's a upset and the Raptors find a way to like win this series, there's going to be a lot of turnover going into the season for the Cavs. I don't think Kenny Atkins survives if they lose this series. I mean, roster moves, there's only but so much. They kind of really committed to this roster. I mean, they were already committed before they made the trade, and so they're really committed now. But you're going to have to reevaluate how you feel about Evan Mobley. Can he be? I mean, he was an all-star this year, right? Or was it last year?
Last season he was.
Last
Cleveland,
season.
Mitchell was the only guy who made the All-Star team.
Right.
Because you don't remember,
so
they were like under 500, I think, up to like Christmas.
You're right.
And then they kind of got it going and climbed all the way back up to being the 4 seed.
Okay, yeah, I don't. For some reason, I thought he snuck in there this year, but yeah, he showed that he can be an All Star player. But like, he's one of those players that always leave you wanting more. Whenever someone asks you about Evan Mobley, it's like, oh, he's averaging like what 20. He can average like 25 and 10, right? Like 3 blocks. Then you look at his numbers and like he's not doing that. But you look at his like profile and his like his skill set and his size and ability. It's like he should be able to do that. He's supposed to be our generation of Kevin Garnett, but he's not. He's not performing at that level, and that's if he was performing on that level, the Cavs would be a clear title contender. But like you said, Donovan Mitchell has found his way into a team where the burden, to carry the offense essentially is on his shoulders again. And if this was like James Harden from 5 years ago, I would definitely have more belief in his ability to add and contribute and carry his own responsibility of the offense. But he's pretty much just a, a great passer that can occasionally hit some step back threes at this point. And he can still get to the rim and like put pressure on the rim and get you like 5 to 6 fouls a game or free throws a game. But yeah, I would not be surprised with the Raptors and how Toronto shows out for that team if, this series at least goes 7 because of like one, the Raptors play great defense. Um they're another team is like it's gonna be how well they can maintain a high level of offensive play. Um but like they play great defense, they can run and they can rebound. So though all that being said, I still think the Cavs should win. Like they have the pieces to handle what the Raptors can put up against them. But it's just there's so many people that on this team that it's hard to believe in outside of Donovan, who's a proven playoff riser when it comes to performance.
Yeah, the Raptors, I think, are an interesting squad because, like we said before, they did not beat a lot of good teams. The reason why they're in the playoffs is because they smacked up on the bad teams.
Yeah,
I have not been a Raptors believer all year. I don't know if this is because the Knicks beat them 5 times pretty handily. But like you said, they have the only thing that I think that you can at least say is that they have 2 guys on the team in RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly who beat the same version of this Cavs team 3 years ago, right? When they were on the Knicks in the 4-5 matchup. That's one thing. Maybe if they get a level of physicality and turn them over a lot, that could be part of it. I just don't love this Cavs. I'm sorry. I don't love this Toronto Raptors team's offense. Same thing I mentioned before with the not the Pistons, but it was before. Oh, sorry, with the Hawks. And
yeah,
essentially, the fact is like you said before, everyone's playing hard on defense, right? Like you can't if your offense is based on you getting turnovers and you scoring in transition. The better teams in the league are not turning the ball over that,
right.
right? They're going to be good passers, especially when you have James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, 2 guys who are elite ball handlers and decision makers. So when you do that, and your offense is essentially RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, and Brandon Ingram getting a bunch of mid rangers, you're just not going to score that many points in my mind to beat Cleveland. And Cleveland is a good defensive team. They still have Evan Mobley, they still have Jared Allen.
Yeah, that's true.
Those guys are going to affect things defensively, especially, again, like we just talked about the Raptors. This isn't like some type of barn burner offense that they have to really slow down. So I have Cavs in 5. If this should be a sweep. This should be a sweep. I'm only giving it 5 because there's always the game where it's like, we're not really focused. Something happens. Toronto hits a bunch of threes. We turn the ball over once. So I'll say 5 games. If this goes 6, the Raptors should be, or the Cavs should be fucking ashamed. This Raptors team is not that good.
Yeah,
like, I'm looking at the record now. They do not beat good teams.
It's funny because like you look at the West, the record between the Lakers and the Rockets, who are 4-5. The Lakers have a 1-game lead, but then you go to the 4-5 with the Raptors and the Cavs. The Cavaliers have 6 wins over the Raptors. So like, yeah, it shouldn't be close, but
it shouldn't be close. But again, I don't trust Cleveland at all, and so it's like we'll see. Again, y'all not getting me to buy that James Harden narcotic no more. That's why I stay off that. If listen, brother, I've seen the movies, I've seen the remixes, I've seen the DVDs and the bootlegs. I've seen it all. You not getting me to believe in that man come postseason time. This is not for him. What did Jalen Rose said? He starts shooting tour dates. This is summer's out. We just talked about sundress season. This is when the concerts start. Tour dates. I don't need to see the 4 for 21s, dog. I don't need to see the 5 for 18s. Like it's coming soon. I hope for him this doesn't go the way it is, but you know, this is going to be a tough one for him to overcome if they do lose this series. Sliding over to the West, though, we can start off at the top. We already said if we think that OKC will be taking on the Clippers. I think that the NBA is hoping that the Clippers can at least get 2 games because they do not want to essentially give draft picks over to OKC and just keep supercharging this team. I do think that this series, if it is the Clippers that we are predicting, Kawhi Leonard's been really good. You know, like Kawhi has a case to make first team All-NBA this year. And I think that Garland has been really good with them.
Yeah.
You still have Brook Lopez, Chris Dunn. But again, another thing we talk about, them brothers who can't shoot.
Yeah.
They got him and Derrick Jones Jr. It's tough for you to win a lot of playoff games like that. I think that because the Clippers were at least able to push the Nuggets last year to 7 games with relatively the same roster. I know Harden isn't there anymore. I think that they can I think they'll at least win a game. A game and a half. I think this is the farthest I will go when they will face OKC, who they will be surrendering over the 15th pick when this is all done at the in the NBA draft. But how do you feel? OKC versus potentially what we believe will be the Clippers in the 1-8.
Yeah, you know, I know I say I was excited and like there's like a lot of parity, but yeah, this is not one of those series. This is definitely gonna be chalk. It's definitely gonna be, you know, OKC in at most 5. Maybe the Wall, you know, and the Clippers' new arena.
The Wall
could get them a win
bro.
somehow.
How is that not sponsored by no one yet, bro?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who would be an ideal sponsor for the Wall.
probably who always has all their games on Microsoft on Xbox? One of them.
Oh, all right. We'll get back to that, but yeah,
we'll get back to it. Some of them. Someone like that is going to be up on that wall,
right? But yeah, it's definitely going to be chalk. It's just OKC has too many answers for whatever strategy Ty Lue and Kawhi can come up with to maybe try to compete. So, yeah, that's all I can say about that.
All right, and then sliding on over, we have Spurs, potentially what we believe is Suns. Which, did you like the Spurs Suns rivalry that used to be popping early 2000s?
Oh yeah, that's like what Steve Nash and Tim Duncan, Tony
Nash,
Parker,
Duncan,
Art Stoudemire,
Goran Dragic, the 1 year kind of late run where they actually beat the Spurs and they still lost to the Lakers.
Shoot, that's like probably what helped me fall in love with the league. It was like a lot of those series, throwing the Mavericks as well, and of course the Lakers. Yeah, that's probably why I'm a big advocate for the Western Conference. But yeah, missed those times, and this won't be one of those series because
one of those times.
Yeah, nah. But I do like your theory of you know, Suns having a lot of gritty players. They have veterans as well as Devin Booker that could possibly put up a good fight. But yeah, this is probably just one of those cases where the young team finds their groove and you know, start to feel good about themselves, getting a playoff win under their belt. And that's definitely what I think is going to be the case for the Spurs as they continue to build up what looks like to be a budding dynasty, or at least a rivalry between them and OKC in terms of ruling the West and maybe the league. But yeah, I think this is just like a stepping stone for them as it comes to this series with the Suns.
Yeah, I think how this series plays out for the Spurs, because I think obviously we both are having the Spurs winning, will give me more evidence into how comfortable I will feel when they play the next series, which we'll get to in a bit. Because if they do beat the Suns in 5 games, then I will feel a lot more confident about them playing either Denver or Minnesota in round 2. If this goes 5, 6, or 7 games, I think that's going to be a very big red flag as far as even if they advance.
Right.
For them, if they have to then play the Nuggets or the Timberwolves, both teams that have clearly shown that they know how to play postseason basketball, and I can easily see either of those teams, if the Spurs stumble a bit during the Sun series, taking advantage of them in round 2. Speaking of that, the Nuggets Wolves series, the series that I feel like is like, it's like one of those, like, are you a Kid Cudi fan? Do you like the Man on the Moon series?
Of course. How can you not be a Kid Cudi fan and not like those?
I feel like this is kind of like that, where I feel like no one, if I was like, yo, what are the best trilogy albums, right? Like the albums that really connect and kind of go up there. Even recently, I don't even think we really do these as much anymore. I know Nas put out a couple of big ones. You have Jay-Z with the Blueprints. Like I think people wouldn't put Man on the Moons up
As
there
like,
in those type of
right.
trilogies, but they're all very good.
Yeah.
And I think this is what this Nuggets Wolves series is the fact that, like, this series is cracking every time they play. Different players, different coaches.
Yeah.
If it's Ant, if it's Jokic, these guys somehow find a way to always go ball for ball.
Right.
And this is the one series I can't pick. I want to pick Denver because Denver was the team I had winning the conference. You can't tell me that all 4 top seeds in both conferences are winning.
Yeah, that wouldn't bode
What are
well
the
for
likelihoods that we're going to get 1 through 4 in each conference? That doesn't seem very likely. So this is where I'm going to buck the trend. I am picking Minnesota to upset the Nuggets to get through, just because, very simply, I don't know what it is. These two teams just keep going at it, and Minnesota keeps taking them out. And I think Minnesota's going to do it again to them one more time.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think the flip side of that would be that this roster for the Nuggets and the surrounding talent around Joker is probably the best he's had.
Yeah.
Some may say even better than the championship team. So the only way, well, for me personally, the only way I see them not advancing if Cam Johnson, who's been shooting well to close out the season, forgets how to shoot again. Forbid Murray, I don't know, he's pretty durable, so I wouldn't say hurt, but like, doesn't rise up to what we usually expect from Murray in the playoffs. But I will say Jokic, anytime he sees Gobert, is green light.
It's going
up.
Barbecue
chicken, it's I got 40, brother. It's like
I got 42, brother.
Yeah,
that is still one of my favorite quotes of all time. Brother, I have 42.
Right. So, but then on the flip side, it's going to be who can stop Ant. And like, as you said.
And that's been their problem this entire time. They've never had anyone to guard Ant.
Exactly. So maybe Cam Johnson can step up, or Peyton Watson. Can step up. Doubt it, because Ant is that special. But yeah, I agree with you. If there were to be an upset, I mean, if you consider the 4 or 5 matchups to be upsets, then yeah. But yeah, if there were to be an upset, it would definitely be this series. As well as we talked about before, the Knicks and Hawks, which is also 3 and 6. But I don't know. I think the Nuggets are just too balanced to lose a series. And yeah, I think the Wolves, the roster's not that worse than last year, but it's definitely taking a step back. And
Julius is taking a step back.
Well, yeah, there you go. So all that being considered, yeah, I'll take the Nuggets in 6.
Yeah. All right, sliding over to the old head series. This will be LeBron James and Kevin Durant's fourth playoff meeting in their careers. Can you remember the last time these guys played against each other?
Was it?
It was a big series. It was in the finals.
Yeah. So what? 2018, right?
Got it on the head. Warriors, Cavs, 2018. I believe that was the year they swept them.
Yep. Yeah, because the first time 17 they won in 5, and then 18 they got them out of there in 4.
Yes. Like I said, the fourth series between LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Like we just said, the time before they met up back-to-back seasons. Both years the Warriors won, and then the year before, the first time they played was in 2012 when it was the Miami Heat versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Someone made this point, and I'm gonna steal it because it was honestly a great point. Is this a loser leaves Towns match?
For both old guys?
For both guys. Because think about this. If you are like LeBron, and you can speak more to this, I think he's gone. Outside of winning a championship, I think he's gone. We don't have to necessarily go into every single team that we think he might go to, but the vibes on the Lakers have seemed to be kind of tricky with him.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're Durant, I believe he has not made it out of round 1 since he's left. No, since the toe on the line game.
Yep.
The toe on the line game was the last time because the next season, every single season after that, he's either lost in round 1 or he's missed the playoffs.
Yep.
So is he really, if he loses again, you really think he has the balls again to be like, y'all want to get traded again? He's getting to James Harden levels of trade requests if he's going to wants to get traded again.
It's so funny that big three for OKC, James Harden, Russ, and KD, how looking at their careers, how many teams they played for.
It's nuts, dog.
Yeah.
They've all been around the league. What's that? Because Harden, what we got? It's OKC, Houston, Brooklyn, Philly, Clippers, Cavs, Harden. I mean, Durant, Supersonics, Supersonics / OKC. Golden State, Warriors, Brooklyn, Phoenix, and the Rockets. Westbrook's probably got the wildest one because he is. If you count even the teams that cut him,
right?
Because it's OKC, Houston, Wizards,
LA.
Is it then Utah, then Lakers? No, then it was Lakers, then Utah.
Yeah.
And then he was out the league for a bit. Then he went to the Clippers. Then he went to the Nuggets. And then he's on the Kings. The last plantation basically you could be on before you were out the league. But it's nuts. Like you would, if you enter the league thinking these guys are going to be on an average of 5 NBA teams, you would have been like, "That's nuts."
How about 3 MVPs?
3 MVPs on average of 5 different teams. The crazy Durant's been on the least amount, or him and Harden. Nuts.
It's nuts. That's NBA for you.
No, that's this NBA for you because that is so because I'm not like you gotta because even if you go back to some of our favorite players when we were kids because Kevin Garnett only played for 3 teams. Because he played for Minnesota, he played for Boston, he played for Brooklyn because he went back to Minnesota. Yeah. Paul Pierce only played for 3 teams. No, 4 teams.
Maybe 5.
Because he played for the Celtics, Brooklyn, Wizards. Then he played for the Celtics. I mean, not Celtics. He played for the Clippers.
Yeah, okay.
Like, Wade played for 3 teams. He played for Miami, played for the Bulls, and then he played for the Cavs. And I'll never forget his face when Gordon Hayward breaks his leg, just sitting there with his face like that. That was a game 1 of the year. That was nuts.
Yep.
And like, I feel like a lot of this is like Russ. I'm not that surprised because a lot of teams have honestly gotten tired of Russ. The trade demands for both Durant and Harden is just gotten to the place of like, Harden's demanding the trade every year. Every single year, the last 4 seasons. How do you do that?
It's a contract player. Yeah.
Contract player, bro. He said loyalty was overrated. He said that. Loyalty, that's just overrated. On the microphone. Shout out to living in Cleveland, man. You can say whatever you want, unless you LeBron James. That shit getting no traction. But how do you feel how this do you think this is a old man leaves towns match?
Yeah. I mean, because both teams would definitely both players would definitely benefit from winning this series. Just like legacy alone, between LeBron and KD, having definitely for KD if he's able to beat LeBron. Which honestly, if Luka and Reeves aren't able to come back, can you even count it as an upset? But yeah, losing leave town is definitely so. I'm trying to think, but like, is there anyone else who would leave if they lose this series between the two rosters? I
I
mean, the
think
coaches are staying, right?
if Houston loses in round one, I think that they will then go, screw it, we're going to get Giannis.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and as some people will say, bring him back to his true Nigerian home.
I know, right? Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is the second pick, because I just listen. Let me never say never, because it is Kevin Durant, but I can't think he's gonna wants to get traded again.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you to speak to you. How do you feel this series is gonna be for LeBron?
It's the fact that Reeves and Luka are injured. For LeBron, do you
Bronny James, 20 minutes per game,
and that too? Do you want to like submarine Bronny as he's building momentum right now? He's building a relationship with the fan base in LA, and he's getting more PT and more standing on the roster and like more belief from JJ. Like, do you really want to undercut that? Because like, in my opinion, they're a package deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might be wrong, but like, yeah. So if Bron leaves, like Bronny's might go, it's probably gonna go with him. And also, it's like, where else is LeBron going to go other than back to Cleveland? But like, who wins in that trade if that happens?
I just think that I don't think he's going to Cleveland.
Right.
I think the team's too weird.
Yeah.
I only see him going to Cleveland is if they are like, we are blowing this up, and this is a very clear, like, everyone look at us. This is LeBron James last year. Please send your flowers. James Harden, LeBron James, and Donovan Mitchell going to be in the same team together? That makes no sense.
Nah. Because he barely got used to playing with Reeves and Luka. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a weird series because it's not really, because I watched the Lakers play without Reeves and Luka, and like, man, outside of LeBron having to do everything, it's really rough. Like, unless
it's 2018 LeBron again with those Cavs teams.
Yeah, man. And like, likely having to play Bronny real minutes in the playoffs is not a good sign. Only hope if like, I don't know what Marcus Smart's injury status is, but like, if he can come back, that'll be another playmaker that can take the load off of LeBron, or the responsibilities off of LeBron to carry or do everything. Because even Luke Kennard, he's like serviceable at just dribbling the ball. Like, he's not hitting somebody on the pocket pass. He's not like reading the defense and like hitting a skip pass or hitting someone on a lob. Like, that's not an obvious pass. So he's not creating offense. So he's just there to like shoot and like handle the ball when they start to double LeBron. Man, it's really, I know LeBron's been playing well and without Luka and Reeves, but I'm not going to put all my hope on the 41-year-old to beat a serviceable team in the Houston Rockets, and especially with Ime, who's like a great defensive coach, and like would definitely come up with great strategies for this series.
If the Lakers were healthy, I would have picked the Lakers in 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
I think that because they aren't healthy, I'm picking the Lakers in 6 games.
Oh, dang, you have more belief than me.
I'm picking the Lakers. A couple of reasons. Number one is the Houston Rockets. I think they are the 3rd worst team or the 7th worst team in the clutch this season.
Yeah.
They are not a good team in the clutch. In every playoff game, not every, but majority of these playoff games, especially with the teams that are closer in seeding, it's a couple possessions down late in the 4th quarter. And Houston has shown repeatedly they just fumble games away. The Lakers, contrarily, are the best team in the clutch all season. Now, yes, a lot of that has to do with Luka.
Yeah.
I also think LeBron James is one of the best players to have in clutch situations too. So, I don't think this is going to be that much of a drop off for them. That's the reason number one. And this reason number two is the fact is I don't trust Houston to be able to blow out the Lakers. I think for the Houston to win, they have to blow out the Lakers at least 2 to 3 times.
Right.
And then they got to win at least one of those clutch games, maybe 2. And I just don't see it just because Houston's offense just doesn't seem to be as high powered, especially the fact that they do not have a point guard. They have to run multiple guys to get their offense going. And I think the last thing, and I think this is the most beneficial thing for the Lakers, is it's the first round. Meaning, this is the most rest you're going to get in the playoffs. If this was round 2, absolutely not. I'm picking Houston. First round, you have plenty of rest. Maybe you get Luka back at a 2-2 series, 2-1 series. I really look at this a lot as, remember when Jalen Brunson had to hold up the fort and it was Dallas versus Utah?
Oh, yeah.
And essentially he got it to 2-1 and then Luka came back and they were able to go on that run.
Yeah.
I am not fully convinced Luka will be back, but if he's going to come back, I think LeBron James is good enough to split a series in 4 games for it to be 2-2. And then if Luka comes back and he's at least able to do something on the court, that's why I have the Lakers winning in 6 games.
Yeah. I mean, I should have checked, but I wonder who's more likely to come back sooner between Reeves and Luka.
It's Luka. Because Reeves, the thing I saw was Reeves was out like 8 weeks.
Oh, oof.
That's what I saw. And then the Luka thing, I thought they said 3 to 6 weeks. And if it's closer to 3 weeks, I believe they said is middle of this series.
Okay.
But I don't know. I knew. Maybe they gave him that Kobe stuff that they gave over there. That
he is over in Spain, right? He's over in Europe
getting that good
doing
stuff.
Treatments. Yeah. So,
treatments.
Yeah.
NBA's like, yeah, whatever. Go get those treatments.
Okay, they need
buddy.
the star power. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing over there? Don't worry about it, brother.
Right. Yeah. Just,
exactly.
Don't get locked up.
How crazy is that? That one of the best players in the league is going to American doctors and is going to a foreign country to get a speedier recovery on a hamstring injury, and no one's saying anything about that? Okay, big man. Okay.
Hey, man, when you play for the Lakers, the rules are different.
And get a couple foul calls, you know what I'm saying? They just call Tim Donaghy up, you know what I mean? But, we need this exterior. You see the meme of Adam Silver on the phone? Be like, we need this one extended. Yeah. Big dollars. But all right, that's the whole playoffs that we have, man. Before we go, let's pick our 2 finals teams, then we can discuss finals when we get to June.
Yeah. Let's see. Coming out the East, as much as I respect what the Pistons have done, I remember seeing the stat. This is the first time they've been the 1 seed in the East since the 2006-2007 season. So I was 10. So yeah, congrats to them. That was amazing season, amazing accomplishment. Kate deserves all NBA, even though the rule might fuck him on that. But excuse my language. But yeah, it's the Celtics or the Knicks, and I'm going with the Celtics because they feel like the better overall team to come out the East. And then the West, I've been consuming a lot of podcasts and a lot of YouTube stuff, and been seeing a lot of predictions for the West. Some people are having the Denver Nuggets come out the West, which, I agree that roster is probably at the level or better than that championship team in 2023. But man, if OKC is doing what OKC does, I don't see another team being better than them, even the Spurs. So I'm gonna go OKC, and that means it's going to be a OKC Thunder versus the Boston Celtics finals for me. So yeah, what do you got?
All right, respect it. We are half right together.
Oh, okay.
I had Denver for a while. I had Denver going a while. I just something about them in Minnesota. I can't shake it. I don't know why it is, man. So that's the main reason I couldn't go through it. I really would like the Spurs to get there. I think it'll be awesome to see Wemby on that big stage.
But a cool story.
I can't diss the Pistons, which I'm going to unfortunately do soon, and then be like, but the Spurs with no experience are getting to the finals, right? That just seems counterintuitive. So I'm agreeing with you. I'm going with OKC, getting to the finals, back-to-back seasons, and come on, man, you already know what time it is.
I mean, you said it before.
It's if they do not make the finals this year,
it's never happening.
Changes are coming.
Yeah,
changes are coming. So I got them boys in blue and orange taking on those other boys in blue and orange.
True.
In OKC. So I got OKC, New York Knicks in the NBA Finals this season. That, my friend, is Olisha Azikiwe. Check out his Substack. Make sure you check out him reading. Do all that stuff. Do kids still read? We don't know. But hopefully they'll get a TikTok.
Have to start a YouTube channel, to get the kids to consume my content. But Sports MBA, fan economist, check me out. I don't have an article up yet, or at least a recent one, but there is the news of or the growing theory of how the sports media rights are going to lead. I mean, it's not even a theory; it's just like a fact that the rising price of sports media rights is contributing to why these streamers are continually to increase their subscribing price. Like Netflix, who've been really active in getting into more live sports, obviously they just increased their monthly price recently. I think last week. Yeah, definitely want to see that continue to be a case for streamers across the board, especially like Prime, who have the NFL. That's an expensive sports league to carry. Paramount Plus, who have a lot of sports. Both, I mean, they just signed UFC to a big deal. What's on horizon is the NFL, because the NFL has in this clause that they can renegotiate their current media rights deal after everyone else essentially have signed their own, because they know they're the big dog and they deserve the most money and they have all the leverage power in the world. So I'm brainstorming and writing an article around that in terms of why sports is the reason why everything in media is more expensive, which it's obvious, but could take more explaining and making more clear to people.
Exactly, man. All right, everyone. That's all the time we have for you guys. Thank you guys again for listening to the Men Who Cry podcast. Like, subscribe, review, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. And we'll be back again with you guys later on this week.
Sure.
Peace out.